y bueno son los vacantes buenos son. Y buenos son, y buenos son, y buenos son. Y buenos son los vacantes buenos son. Liberia, buenos son. Y buenos son, y buenos son, y buenos son. Y buenos son, Africa, buenos son. Y buenos son, y buenos son, y buenos son. Y buenos son, Liberia, buenos son. Zazo, y buenos man. Zazo, y buenos son. Fuenjama, y buenos man. Jaman, y buenos son. Colao, y buenos man. Colao, y buenos son. Ñacuetao, y buenos man. Ñacuetao, y buenos son. Bolao, y buenos man. Bolao, y buenos son. Vacante buenos son. Y buenos son, y buenos son, y buenos son. Y buenos son, los vacantes buenos son. Y buenos son, y buenos son, y buenos son. Y buenos son, los vacantes buenos son. Vacante buenos son. Y buenos son, y buenos son, y buenos son. Y buenos son, los vacantes buenos son. Y buenos son, y buenos son, y buenos son. Y buenos son, los vacantes buenos son. Robert Kennedy, y buenos man. Robert Kennedy.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia. From education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of On Point. We are here to bring you one of the most disgusting, one of the most discussed, one of the most interesting, one of the more fascinating story of our time in the past week or so. Basically, if you were a fan of the WWF in the 80s and the 90s and early 2000s, or you are the new fan of the WWE, there's a focus or show that we call the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble is bringing together the best and the brightest of the WWF to show their case, to do a showcase, to fight for a title. And usually one remains standing. That is the Royal Rumble. In the Liberian political palace or in the Liberian political talk today, for the past 2 weeks, we are going to be talking about the Royal Rumble of Liberian politics that is happening now, not on the soil in Liberia, on the ground, but that particular battle is being fought in Washington, D.C. So as we look at the two giants, the CPP and obviously the Goliath in the room, who is the CDC, we are now into another battle of the lobbyists. Now we are lobbying in Washington, D.C. on two different fronts. On the left is the winning team, the power, the incumbent, George Mane Weah, Bekube, Opon Weah. On the left, a conglomeration of have-beens, the former political parties, those that we consider losers, the Cummingses of the world, the Urists of the world, the Workers of the world. They have now conglomerated, they have formed a team, and they themselves have hired for themselves another lobbying firm to lobby on their behalf in Washington, D.C. We are going to go into depth. Who are these people? Who are behind the different lobbying groups, and what do they intend to achieve? With me today is my co-host, Mr. Tulay, a sympathizer, a member of the Liberty Party, though he says he's not active, but he's a strong member of the CPP. He's going to make a case why he thinks lobbying in Washington, D.C. is good or bad. Mr. Tulay, welcome, and how do you do in Canada, my brother?
I'm doing fine, man. It's another good day. Unfortunately for us, we have a divided audience today because you and your people decided that you were going to send them to Fol-Tv to divide the audience so that people will not hear the reality of what they are doing in Washington, D.C. and the harm they're doing to Liberia. So it's a shame that they are, because they are the ones in power and they are talking, I'm very sure, bunch of malarkey on Fol-Tv. But I mean, people will want to listen to what they have to say so they can hold them to their words. So a lot of the people who will be here today are there, but it's okay. We will do what we have to do. We have a duty to be able to present the issues and to be able to defend ourselves. One of the things I will start off by saying, as I welcome our audience, is that the best PR for George Weah will be himself, and that is doing what the people elected him to do. You don't need PRO. Kagame doesn't hire any PR firms. The white people roll out the carpets. They want him to come. They want him to legitimize their neo-colonial longings. They want him to legitimize their intent to do business with Rwanda and stuff. And he is very picky. So because he has done so much, he doesn't need anyone to. His work speaks for himself, despite all what we could say the pseudo-tyrannical leanings or actions that he takes. Because he has done so much for his people, the people are just thrilled by this man, including the international community, because they see that he has gotten corruption in check and a lot of other things in check. But unfortunately for us, we have a cabal of thieves and murderers who lead our country. I would say cabal, before you come in Liberia, normally truck drivers hire apprentices. We call them cabal. And the apprentices will stay with the truck driver for a couple of years, know everything about the truck before he sits behind the wheel. And then he graduates and become a driver himself. Unfortunately, we handed the truck over to a cabal who doesn't even know how to change tire. So this is where we are today. So we want to welcome all of you for tuning in. It's going to be a wild show. Tune in, invite, share the video. We will look into this issue of lobbying on behalf of Liberia, and we'll see why is it very, very wrong to hire people, pay money for people to lie on your behalf in DC when the reality is stark at home. So that's my opening. Thank you, Jerome. Thanks to our audience for tuning in, despite the intentional act of trying to divide the audience. We are here. We appreciate those who are tuned in, and thanks for the show. Let's go ahead, sir.
Well, it looks like you are deviating from the topic. The topic here is that the CDC government hired a lobbyist. Your people, the CPP, also hired a lobbyist. Now you are saying President Weah and his administration hired a lobbyist to lie for him. So why will you, let's use the same logic. So why will the CPP hire a lobbyist and their lobbyists are telling the truth, but George Weah, President Weah's lobby is telling a lie? A lobby is a crime. And you disdain the idea of hiring a lobbyist. It's a waste of money. It is not good. It's not good for our economy. Somebody is telling a lie. Then why are you, CPP, hiring a firm to represent your interest?
But look at what you're saying. The Global Freak piece that I told you about broke down. They did their research and analysis on the issue of lobbying, especially with respect to Liberia. And they are saying that this government has signed contracts with 6 firms, paying each one of them $550,000 to represent them in Washington, D.C. And in the last 4 years, the government have expended over 20 million United States dollars. When our hospitals in Liberia, in the rural areas, don't have electricity at night and don't have basics, you know how much $200 million can buy? I just check it at $4 US cents. I mean, at $4 US per a gallon of fuel oil. That's 500,000 gallons of fuel oil in 4 years. A typical maybe 50 kVA generator burns less than 30 gallons a night, or over a 24-hour period. If you have 50 kVAs, you will be spending maybe 60 gallons a night, a day, to run 2 generators, around 60 gallons, maybe or less, because most new generators are very effective in terms of fuel efficiency. So we're talking about 500,000 gallons of fuel, the equivalent of at $4 that you spend on people to lie. What is the net gain? How much have the Americans been able to do for us directly, okay, apart from their normal budgetary assistance and things that they already have budgeted for? How much pledges have the U.S. government given to Liberia that have moved the developmental needle? How much? And like I said, you asked the question, why did the opposition hire? They're saying Cummings did. Cummings hired a lobbying firm on his behalf, and he's paying them $200,000 or so to lobby on his behalf. The reality is that the contrast, you got 6 lobbyists lying on your behalf. Cummings has 1, and he's not an incumbent. He's not in government, okay? Maybe Cummings want doors open. I agree. But at the end of the day, what we will look at is who is using the people's resources. Cummings is using his own money. Is his right? If Cummings wants to just go on the Potomac and throw money into the water, it's his business. He's not taking our resources, but they are responsible. They have a fiduciary responsibility to the Liberian people, and they are using our tax dollars to, as they choose, to lie, pay 6 companies $550 a month to represent, and say what? Mr.
Tulay, I'm not gonna allow you to get off the hook here.
I'm not on the hook in the first place. There's no hook here.
Your premise is that lobbying is wrong.
That's not my premise. That's what you want to say.
You said lobbying is a waste of money, waste of resources.
Yeah.
You could buy a lot. Why the hospitals in Liberia need fuel oil? We are wasting money on lobbying. Lobbying does not, as you say, there is nothing to gain. But in your same breath, you are saying that Cummings can lobby because he wants door opens. What do you think lobbying is about? Now,
but money he's spending.
Listen to this. You were talking about that other countries do not lobby. I don't know where you get your information from.
I didn't say other countries do not lobby. I said most countries have. Wait, hold on. Before
No. You said that Rwanda does not lobby because the work he does represents him, and people want him to come and they want to be associated with him. So you are saying Rwanda doesn't lobby? They don't need lobbyists. And then it turned out that I just got this article from Politico. It says here, August 13th, APIR 2 lobby, Rwanda hires Robinson P. Hour and starts. August 15th. The objective of hiring lobby, listen, like somebody said it last time, some countries got up to 10 lobbyists. You got lobbying for agriculture, lobbying for energy, you got lobbying for social security, you got lobbying for anything that you want. They are firms that specialize in these different entities. So lobbying is a form, it's a part and parcel of Washington, D.C. It is the way to get into the different clubs where decisions are made. And George, President Weah, and the Weah administration are actually coming late to the game. The first 3 years.
No, they've been there for 4 years.
Listen to this. The first 3 years of the administration, the first 2 years, as you know, COVID, the whole United States was shut down. Congress was shut down. There was no lobbying going on. They're coming late to the game. They are just coming late to the game. So I want to tell you that you mentioned Gov't are free. Gov't are free. It's a rogue paper. It has no credibility. I thought we know very well who runs Gov't are free. Gov't are free is run by Boyma family out of Ghana. With all this going on, we know who runs it. When you look at Gov't are free and you look at the article, there is no author, not even on an editorial. They just tell you it's an analytical piece. There is no author. If you look at Front Page Africa, it will tell you written by Rodney C. or written by Leonard Dudu. If you go to the Washington Post, it will tell you.
Excuse me, sir. Did you when you mentioned Rwanda, stop misrepresenting the facts. That was in 2015.
Yes.
When the issue of lobbyists. Yes. Can you check in 2021 if Rwanda have active lobbies?
Yes. Yes. They still have these firms. Yes. But the fact is,
show me. Can you show me?
Listen, it's right here. You go to Politico.
I'm already there. I'm looking at it. I got multiple screens here.
Go to Politico. Just type in who represents.
I have multiple screens, sir. I'm looking at the article you're looking at.
Just go into the search bar and put it in. But anyhow, I am telling you the reason that your political party, the CPP, if Cummings was actually a man who wants to take on President Weah and the administration. If this foreign policy, if this was his first call on foreign policy, he fell flat on his face. When you hire your first international call, if you hire a foreign call BW Global Group that is represented by Alan White and Burrell is known in Washington, D.C. as a gun runner. He's a man who everybody knows as a raw lobbyist. He has no insight. Okay, the last time he did lobbying work in Washington, D.C. was 2006. He has no pull. So Mr. Cummings should have known that Mr. Burrell was a gun runner. Not only did he run a gun for Omar Bongo, he ran gun with Uri for Charles Taylor. So this is a tinter character. Who in the world will hire a tinter character as Alan White and Burrell to lobby for them in Washington, D.C.? Who does that? And I read the contract. The contract say BWG, BW Global Group, will attempt. There are no guarantees. There are no promises. They have no insight. So we are talking about $200,000 every 3 months. For what? This tells you that somebody is desperate. Somebody is desperate. And this is the sign of a dying horse. Your turn.
You know, sometimes it baffles me when you purposely, okay, put a spin on issues. I will start first with your Rwanda issue. Oh God, I missed. Okay, no, here is it. Okay. According to the Farah update, Rwanda hired a PR firm to help them with tourism. They hire a firm, an American firm, to improve their tourism, to help them improve their tourism sector. That's what they did. It wasn't some kind of blanket, unknown, purposeless payment of money, high-end cash to unscrupulous individuals roaming the halls of Congress and other places in America who have no direct access to Joe Biden or anybody very key in his administration. I see you people have hired Bakari sellers. So let's put this thing in perspective. Rwanda government wasn't Kagame that hired people. It was the tourism board in Rwanda that hired a PR firm to help them boost the country's tourism sector and sell Rwanda out there. So that is what is not this presidential lack of initiative, lack of governmental policy, lack of any kind of sound economic structure, no drive, no agriculture policy. Education is floundering. Pre-trial detention, the Justice Ministry, it always comes under harsh criticism from the State Department yearly report on human rights in Liberia. It's none of those things because you people have refused to address your issues at home. Rather, you following Madame Salif. You forget to know that Madame Salif, because she worked in the international community with the UNDP in other places, Madame Salif had people that she could just go to because of past experiences and past relationships that she has built. But you guys, the only thing you have is he plays soccer, but he's so ignorant about how things work. So instead of really doing his homework home, he got two cowboys who did not even go through the entire learning process of how to drive the truck, who have hijacked the truck from him, pulling us out. He's basically a spectator. He's abdicated his role as president. So they have told him, look, man, to do this thing, instead of doing what is maybe spending 10,000 here or 50,000 there to make sure hospitals got free oil, we don't have to do that. Let's go to America and spend $20 million in 4 years of the Liberian people hard-earned money to have 6 firms lobbying on our behalf. The question I have for you is, what is the net gain? Because Globe Afrique, in her reporting, stated, she didn't just pick things up. Globe Afrique, the newspaper stated, they quoted Farah, and they said, they said, out of this amount, okay, out of the amount of nations, there, let me go back, in the ECOWAS region alone, not anywhere else, just ECOWAS region alone, according to Farah, excuse me, there over the last 4 years, nations in West Africa spent $25 million, almost $26 million in total lobbying effort in the United States. Out of this amount, the biggest spender, 78% or $20 million of the total amount is the Liberian government under President George Weah. It is highly unusual to find the poorest country on earth with the worst economic performance to lead the group in what other African leaders have termed wasteful spending. Okay, so we're not just picking things up and accusing them. We are saying it's wasteful spending. Okay. Go back home. Instead of putting emphasis on capital projects, go back home and develop the HIMO index. That's what you need to do. Go back home and develop your country from the foundation up.
Mr. Tulay, you are trying to split hair. You are saying, I am quoting the Washington Post, Politico, I'm quoting the World Bank, and you are quoting Boyman Family. Okay, so there is a major difference between the way you present your issues. You are saying lobbying is wrong. Then in the same breath, you saying Rwanda does not need a lobby, but they are lobbying the high authority to represent their tourist industry.
Yeah.
I think a month ago, and I'm going to show you the photo, you saw McGill and the delegation here in Florida. If you are talking about tourism, okay, when you are talking about tourism, the grandfather of all tourism industry is Florida. Mr. McGill, Honorable McGill, and his delegation was here. I met with them. They are talking to the mega industry that when we talk about tourism, we are talking about the Disneys of the world, the Busch Gardens of the world. We are talking about the different resorts. In fact, they met with the likes of Wynn that I brought to the table. Okay, the Wynn family developers. These are people who specialize in industry when we talk about tourism. So you are talking about Rwanda does not pay for lobby, but at least they pay one lobby to lobby for industry, particularly tourism. Why do you think McGill and his group came to Florida of all places?
To see you.
Why? To do what?
To see you.
What
come
on.
Come on. What is a net gain?
Okay. The net gain. The Liberian government came and met with the largest tourism board of the world, Disney, Busch Gardens. You're talking about tourism. You talk about Rwanda. We are talking about the big enchilada, and you talk about net gain. Let's talk about economic net gain. You just talk about. Just pull it up. It says here. You like to compare the different countries in West Africa to Liberia.
Don't even put your country there, sir.
Let's look at Liberia and Sierra Leone, because these are the two countries that are just coming from war. Okay, now this is the right here. It says Sierra Leone GDP, GDP, which is the purchasing power. Okay, it says here purchasing power parity. 2015. They had 10.48 billion. 2016, they had 11.14 billion. 2017, 11.55 billion. Compare that to Liberia. It says here Liberia, 2015, 6.06.
But I said it was president now.
Listen, I'm coming to you. 2015, 6.064 billion. 2015, okay? 2016, 5.96, it dropped. We lost, okay? 2017, 2018, 6.12 billion. That's Liberia now we're talking about. Now let's go to Liberia real growth compared to Sierra Leone real growth. Liberia GDP real growth rate in 2015, zero growth. Listen,
Mr. Gayman,
you say what a net gain.
Listen, we're not talking about all the things talking about. Hold on.
Listen to this.
No, Mr. Gayman.
I'm reading a net gain from the World Bank. 2015, our net gain was zero. 2016, negative 1.6%. 2017, 2018, 2.5%. That is real GDP. This is talking about, you talk about net gain. I am giving you, and the forecast for 2018.
I ask you a question. I just want to ask you a question. Hold on now. We're not forcing it.
Go ahead. We're not forcing.
I ask you the
I'm
net
so excited about this government and the growth and the success that they
anytime. I'll give you the chance to put your point in. Then I can come back.
Go ahead.
This is what I want to find out from you. I said the net gain of the lobby in DC.
I'm just reading
the net gain.
Yes.
That's not GDP. You're talking about the size of the economy. It's got nothing to do, because listen, you see, you always like to do these things and misrepresent issues. You and I were here talking. You said you were able to say that Toba was a pedophile. Toba didn't do this. Toba didn't do that. I told you. I'm going back a little bit before I come forward. I told you that Tobert he built institutions that employed Liberians and also served as economic enclaves wherever they were. BCADP and Carey made Banga a different place altogether because you have people of worth working there, the citizenry there benefited from these jobs, and the society there was before 1990. Banga was a place to be because of BCADP and Carey. Just the reality. If we go to Lofa, we go other places. Institutions, Liberian-owned institutions, were established before we come to concessions. Under George Weah, the only major concession that is there is Ashela Meta. The only major foreign concessions for mining concession that is the other ones they're trying. The gold mining thing that Madam Sadi started in Kanneh there, they're still there. They're trying. They're hiring people, but they're not leaving a massive footprint like Ashela Meta. We have the Golden Beryllium and other people there. They're doing something. We agree. But look at you're talking about the economy contracted to 0% growth. The economy grew by 2.5%. Currently in 2020, 2021 indices, the economy again has contracted again to the point of 3.6%. As we are looking at, instead of growing, the economy contracted to that point. Why? We don't have any. So listen, don't confuse GDP to what is coming, because we're talking about the amount of money in circulation, the worth of our economy. That's what GDP represents. The worth of our economy.
Mr. Tulay, we are not you trying to mix it. We are not talking about GDP. I'm talking about per capita, which is the earning power of the people in the country. I'm talking about GDP first, and I'm talking about per capita. But let's go back to the lobbying. I will not let you off the hook here. Let's look at the two lobbying firms and the two individuals that were hired to lobby, and look at the character and look at what we are getting for what we pay. You talk about the net gain. Let's look at Cummings hiring BW Group that is headed by Arlen White and Burrell. And who are these people? Let's look at the decision making. This tells you the decision maker.
It means nothing.
It means, listen,
it means nothing.
If you hire a murderer and I hire a priest, it doesn't mean anything.
Burrell
he's a murderer.
Was Burrell convicted of murdering anybody?
We are not talking. You don't have to be convicted to be a criminal.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's the point. I wanted for you to establish this.
He is known in the United States. In the State Department, just as Ure has been, he's known for gun running. He collected $80 million from Omar Bongo to purchase and run gun. He bought a C-130.
But Omar Bongo wasn't in war, so how will you say he running gun to Omar Bongo?
It was illegal. He was illegally purchasing arms and sending it through right here. Here is the piece of paper. We have everything here. Randy's here, lay it out. You have the paper. Look at it. Okay? This man is a gun runner who in Washington, if you want doors open for you, why will you hire someone who is breaking the United States law by circumventing the system and buying guns to kill innocent people? Who does that?
What? So
how
like
can
I said,
CBP
go back.
Now let's contrast that with Bakari. You mentioned Bakari. Bakari is a straightforward, smart, intelligent, well-known operative in the United States government, a former state senator from the great state of South Carolina.
Representative? State representative?
State representative from the
state representative, not state senator.
State representative from the great state of South Carolina. He worked his way through the Democratic Party, made his way to one of the top media institutions in the world, and he has the contact in Washington, D.C. He knows everybody. He's a top-ranking Democrat when it comes to lobbying and all of that. Someone who hires a young man who was born in around 1980, brilliantly educated, highly successful, brought him on board. He's in the generational talk of the. He's actually in the generational talk of people like President Barack Obama, President George Maynard, we are in that generation.
What generation?
Contrast that to somebody who hired Arlen White is what, 80 years old, like Joseph Boykai. Burrell is 77 years old, like Joseph Boykai. Who in the world that you say you are a government in waiting will hire a crooked person to open doors in Washington? That tells you that your decision making is flawed.
Okay, now my time, right?
Go ahead.
My time? Okay. Let's go back again. Your government, based on the FARA records, right? Your government, the government you support, the government, the inept government that you support.
That's your opinion.
Yeah. But in my opinion, is the opinion of the majority of Liberians.
That's
your government is grossly inept. They hired 6 firms. They didn't even need one, not even one, but 6 firms are registered to represent.
To do 6 different things. That's correct.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
For instance, the Maritime Affair has their own lobbies.
Oh, okay. Thank God for that. Thank you for the information. 6 firms are there to represent.
We need 10. We got 6. So we
okay. Yeah, you come. Yeah, no problem. So 6 firms are there representing your country, and you are paying each one of them a minimum of $550,000 per annum. That's what you're doing. And I ask you here, what is the net gain? Instead of you listing the things that have come to Liberia, the net gain, the things that have come to Liberia from their lobbying effort in the United States Senate or Congress or halls of government in DC, instead of you enumerating here for us the net gain of the activities on behalf of us, you're talking about the contraction. You talk about how our economy contracted and how it grew.
I gave you.
And what I want to say to you here, Mr. Gayman, what I want to say to you here is this. Our economy did not contract or grow based on any fiscal policy implemented by the Ministry of Finance. The fact is, you have 5 million people, 5.5, almost 6 million people in a geographical space who need to live. So they are doing things out of their own. Let me give you a common example. Your people say they are grassroots party. Since they came to power, they have not established, Mr. Gayman, they have not established or isolated funding for small and medium scale enterprises, which the bulk of Liberian businesses occupy that spectrum. They have carved or initiated no policy to help the advancement of Liberian small and medium scale policy. And you won't collect rent. I mean, you won't collect taxes from those people. You want to boast that your economy is growing and Liberians are involved in economic activities, but you have done nothing to aid them. The only time that it took $25 million to say they were going to buy back excess liquidity from off the market, Samuel Tulay stole all the money. When people talk, Matthew Innes disappeared. Nothing came out of it. The head of the internal auditing agency or sub-cabinet position mysteriously died, and nothing has come out of it. When an American colonel was murdered in Liberia, the police shook the bush until they caught the culprits. 2 young people from LRA who were also in touch with the legacy, legacy account that the government was using to deal with certain revenue coming into the place. Thomas Nathaniel McGill, and Samuel Tulay, they know something about these disappearances. We're supposed to hold them accountable. But guess what? What happened today, or it happened 10 years from now, there will be inquests held on these deaths, and people will be held accountable. Because guess what? Enough is enough in Liberia. You have the whole thing about lobbying. I will go back there again. You have an opportunity, a blank slate, a blank check. Write your own amount. That's what Liberia gave to George Weah. No one is in his way. The opposition, they are still immersed in themselves. They're still trying to sort themselves out, so they're not even saying anything on the national front, as it were. George Weah had carte blanche free, open road to rule Liberia. What is he doing? Sending Miguel and Tulay with ostensibly to go and lobby in America for what? To go meet people on what? Do your job at home.
Okay.
Tackle corruption. Do the things you need to do. And let me tell you something. People will open doors in America and take you serious. Before you come in, the last thing I want to say to you. The State Department keeps active dossiers on every important person in every nation on the face of the earth that America has representation in. So before you meet an American official of consequence, he already knows everything about you because his aides, he doesn't have to read it himself. He has aides. They will request these things from the State Department. The State Department collects these things from the intelligence community, and they put together a dossier on every important person of consequence in every nation America deals with. So before you even meet an American official, he already knows every nitty-gritty about you. So Tulay and Magesh, that is diplomacy. If I meet you based on diplomacy. Don't think you will get anything from these people because guess what? They all know that they are criminals.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tulay, first of all, you are talking about somebody who worked for 9 months directly for Barack Obama and Joe Biden for the re-election. So I know I worked directly with the late R.C. Hastings on several issues. I know how Washington runs. I'm not saying they say. So for the Senator Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham to meet with our representatives, like you said, they have done their homework. If these were people of bad character that they did not want to meet with, they would tell you, we're not going to meet with you, like they have done to Cuba and other countries. We are not going to meet with you. For them to have met with this particular delegation, like they say, the lobbying that they have just begun, this is the beginning of great things to come. And they are not counting that everything is going to be rosy as it stands. Our job is to open doors for us to make our case. And we are making that case. What you talk about net gains. One of the things that these people want to do and were brilliantly done for by the president of Liberia was to form the Bicentennial Committee and put the United States at the head table, the organizing committee, the ambassador of the United States of America in Liberia sits on that committee. What did Bakari do for the delegation? One of the objectives was to actually push our bicentennial. Everybody that we have met with, the team have agreed. Ted Cruz have agreed. Lindsey Graham have agreed. The majority whip has agreed. And they added on Martin. If you know who the gentleman is for the Black Star Network, okay. If you listen to Martin, if you listen to that interview, the question he asked was, is Liberia ready? Because the Black Congressional Caucus, the blackness of America will become, is Liberia ready for the influx of this bicentennial? Because we are ready. So you are seeing, obviously, when you talk about net gain, Bakari has opened doors. We are meeting people. We are making our cases. And to make matter even better for them, they met with Dana Banks. Dana Banks is the personal secretary, the chief of staff for Joe Biden. Even though it is not our intent to say we want to meet Joe Biden, that is not our intent. If it happens, fine. But that is not the goal. The goal here
not going to happen.
It is going to happen, so don't worry about that.
Not going to happen.
I tell you, it's going to happen. If Joe wants it to happen, we're going to make it happen. But it is not one of his goals. His goal is to get the MCC pack and to get the bicentennial going, and we got those things on there. So when you talk about net gain, that's why. Now let's go back to lobbying. Now let's look at the character that you are part of. You are in bed with. Can we please put that Biafran article? We have it. If we can't put it up, it's right here. The same group that
what are you calling? What are you referencing as Biafran?
This is what I'm coming to.
But do you know what Biafra represents before you are using that name seriously like that?
Listen to this.
You're using the name that represents the aspiration of the
We are talking about lobbying.
seriously?
The same lobbying group that Cummings just hired, that CPP just hired, the exact blueprint for what they were doing to extort money from President George Weah. They couldn't get money from the George Weah administration, but they were successful in getting $200,000 for Cummings, an idiot. So they have turned around, and now they said this. They filed this document here, September 17, 2021. And it says here, and it was reported by Alexander Yinikin. It says here, Washington, D.C., BW Global Group, a human rights and government accountability advocacy firm, quote unquote, in Washington, D.C., on September 15th, filed a formal communication with the Office of the Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court. Filing was submitted in pursuant to Article 1.15 of the Rome Statute. The filing specifically says the use of Nigerian military against the Biafran civilians is genocide. So Arlen White and Burrell again, they have left Liberia now. They are going to Buhari. This exact thing they filed in Liberia, talking about criminal crime code, war crime code, and everything.
So they are the ones
we are talking about. A group of people.
Let me ask you a question. I want to ask you a question. They are the ones filing a case against Buhari?
They are.
Ah.
Yes.
And you call them criminals and gun runners?
That's correct.
Okay.
They tried it in Liberia. It didn't work with President George Weah, and it sure wouldn't work.
What did they try in Liberia, Mr. Gayman?
They are looking at these
Mr. Gayman. Mr. Gayman, what did they try in Liberia? Give us specifics. Where is your where your data? I want to see your. What did they do to Weah?
Didn't they say they want the Weah government to implement war and economic crime court?
Is that a bad thing? You got speech from your own relative for the war in Liberia, but today you against.
Listen to this, and who stand to be hired as consultant? Arlen White and Burrell, same group of folks. Now, who did they hire? Who hired them in Liberia? When you look at the contract from Front Page Africa, the objective of hiring from them is hire them by Cummings is for them to push the war and economic crime court. Is one of the
The Matana, you talking enough, the Matana.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, because if I don't stop you, you'll just continue with your running around the roses and making no point whatsoever. Let's look at what you are saying. You are trying to paint the work of Arlen White lobbying for the establishment of a war and economic crime court in Liberia as something negative. Can you imagine yourself? You, as an individual, you cut ties with your own relative because of his involvement in fomenting the war and the persecution, the fomenting and the persecution of the war in Liberia. You were so upset with him that you cut ties with him. But today, the people that are saying, let's establish a court in this country to hold people accountable for all the monies they have stolen, including Madam Salif. Let's hold people accountable for fomenting war, including Madam Salif and Prince Johnson and the rest of them. You are telling us on this show today, with our audience listening and watching us, that it is a wrong thing that they went to Nigeria and say the use of the Nigerian military against the citizens of Biafra amounts to genocide and war crime, and you are saying that is a wrong thing, and you brave, Mr. Gayman, you brave to hold up a piece of paper to support your point. Can you imagine yourself doing this today?
Mr. Tolo, you are missing the point here. The point here is we are talking about, the George Weah administration, you yourself, myself, everybody supports a war and economic crime court. We are saying War and economic crime court in Liberia is feasible. First of all, the government, the president did the right thing by asking the Liberian people for advice on this, because the Liberian people have made that determination through the referendum, through the consultation that were held, and Ruth Perry was part of that. The people agreed that we were going to do not retributive justice. We were going to restore. We were going to do the Palawa Hut. We are going to do restorative justice as we did in South Africa, blank, blank, blank. So that case is settled. We do have an economic crime court in Liberia now. If somebody stole your money, if somebody had theft in the country, we have a court system that deals with that. So what we are saying here,
well, you yourself, you know the thing you're talking. Okay, I was talking. I want to ask you a question. You came in, now you take it back again. I'm time to talk. Listen, what you are saying, you're talking about the normal, everyday court in Liberia. That's not what we are talking about. We are talking about going back and investigating those who have harmed our country financially, including the present group of thieves that are there, that are in DC today. We want to hold them accountable when they leave power. Because you know why? Impunity will die in Liberia. It will not continue to live on forever. Impunity, people will be held accountable. There's a day of inquest coming. We will hold you and anybody who is responsible for messing up our country and playing with the Liberian people money, buying assets in other countries, using money and buying bitcoins and stuff, and thinking that they are hiding. Trust me, they will be brought to accountability. I'll go back a little bit. Let me say something to you. You said that McGill went to Florida to meet tourism boards, and I told you he went to see Florida and to visit with you because he did nothing with tourism. You know what would bring tourism to Liberia? What would bring tourism to Liberia, big brother, is going back. Your whole capital city, the Do River that runs in the middle of the city, is polluted with feces. Okay, if you stand and just look at the water like this, you will see a huge pile of feces that have made a complete float running on that Monserrato River to Stockton Creek. I'm being honest with you. I'm not saying somebody told me this is something I am invested in. We have talked about it on this show. A city the size of Monrovia, what they have done is all those buildings you see in town there, including the finance ministry everywhere, because we don't have a sewer treatment plant, water and sewer people, they channel the sewer lines down to water side into the Do River. So when you flush your combo anywhere in the city that we're going, into the Do River or into the Atlantic Ocean through Soniwe. Do you know how can your country be appealing when you're not even addressing the drug issue in Liberia? So we have all these Zogos harassing people and stealing people things. Add on top of that to the unsanitary conditions, no ambulance, bad health, and we are on travel advisories from every country. And you want to mention the name tourism in the same kind of condition that we find ourselves. How can we have tourism in Liberia? How can we, big brother?
Mr. Tulay?
No. Let me finish.
Let me answer the question. Go ahead.
Let me finish. We need to stop joking. If we want, and I told some friends of mine, because when I posted it, somebody came up on my site and started talking smack. And I told them, they said Liberia. I said Liberia has no strategic importance to the Americans anymore. I asked him, when was the last time a U.S. military flight landed in Liberia? America is building strategic bases, one in Djibouti, another one in Niger. They have a huge presence in Mali, okay, Senegal, and Guinea. They don't care about us, all right? They don't care. We have no strategic importance to them anymore. Omega was before 1990. After the fall of the Soviet Union, Omega had lost its how you call it? Say this essential reason for existence. So there was no more need. And then again, let me say this because this is in my ball of the neighborhood. Intelligent, how you call it? Say technology had developed to the point that you did not need that obsolete technology to guide missiles anymore. So they move on to better things, satellites instead of that tower. So we have lost all our strategic importance in those areas. Will they discard us? No. They will keep everything going to a certain extent. But when they wanted to establish African, it was our golden opportunity to hold on to America's apron and claim America. But when we refused to establish African headquarters in Liberia based on pressure from Gaddafi and other people, we messed up big time. Okay, so right now, they don't really care about us. What is happening? They do budget assistance to a lot of countries across the sub-region. It's not unique to Liberia. They will give money through USAID and other programs. And that's all we are ever going to get. Little here, drop here, drop here, drop there. If you want to deal with, and let me tell you, it starts, let me say this also again. Our viewers are listening. George Weah has a workforce of 5 million plus people that he can put to work in Liberia. You don't need a lot of money to deal with the Liberian people. You know what you need? You need to show up. They need to see you invested in them. They need to see you establishing policies and enumerating, explaining those policies to them so that they will see that you are interested in them. That's all they want.
Okay.
Liberian people, to set up for Liberian people in Naha. If you do that and you say, let's go, and you are visible as a leader, George Weah is mute. He's not a visible leader. If you say, let's go, the people will follow you and you will develop that country. We will claim, the people themselves can claim Monrovia. But it doesn't happen because it takes so long.
Mr. Tulay,
I'll give you the chance now.
I like when you talk from both sides of your mouth. You a Liberty Party person, you a CPP, and you a person that was in power for 12 years.
I wasn't in power.
Excuse me.
I wasn't in power. No, you were not lying on me.
You're party.
I can't lie on you. When you lie on me, I have the right to correct it.
You are part of the CPP.
I wasn't in power for 12 years.
You were part of the
I wasn't in power for 12 years.
Were you Liberty Party person?
Liberty Party was an opposition party.
Were you part of the UP? Were you part of the UP government?
How can I be part of the UP when I was one of the most consistent critic of Madame Salif? How could I be part of the UP?
Were you there working when
with
who?
With
you
who?
Didn't work with you are part of the UPP.
Come on, can you imagine yourself? Why don't you just stick to the facts, Mr. Gayman?
Mr. Tulay, the conglomeration of the CPP, it is a part of the Labour Party of which you are. The decision now the government now that has been run in Liberia is being run by the CPP and the CDC. The Liberty Party partisan Yobli Kanga inept failed Yobli Kanga is part of this administration. It's part of the decision-making process of this administration. Dara Dillon is part of this administration. He sits on the budget committee. You got Zago. You got the whole. In fact, the government in the upper and lower houses are run by the opposition. So you can't sit here and say the government is not doing anything. But let me bring you back to the two reasons we talked about. You see, the we are government is very, very smart, brilliant. But when I sit with Tulay or when I sit with McGill and listen to the future, to the foundation, to what they are doing, you can see.
What have they done?
And listen, and Legendwood Remy laid it out yesterday when he said, listen, we are laying a foundation that was never there. We are not saying Rome is going to be built in one day. When they came to Florida to look at what it takes, okay, for tourism, the where, the when, who are the major players? What are the things that are needed to have a tourism, a successful tourism society? Where were they 20 years from let's say last year, 20 years ago? Where were these folks 50 years ago? How did they begin? How did we get here? These are questions, these are research that have been done by these young men, brilliant young men, something that should have been done 12 years ago.
All right. I hear you. Okay, let me say this to you. Because normally when we're in the show, sometimes I can read the comments, because like I told you, I have multiple screens. It's funny. Before there's a video, and next week when we come, I will try and get that video and I'll put it up. And a video of some American guys, rich guys, in a private jet flying to Rwanda, and one of them was talking about why they are going to Rwanda and what they expect African countries to do if they want enterprise funding to come, enterprise capital to come to the country. And I was listening. And this is no rocket science. My people out there, all it needs is for you to get your road. You see, the first cow, the first bull in the we'll do that. In 5 minutes, we'll take phone calls. Let me say this: the first bull in the China shop in Liberia that delegitimizes George Weah, the first bull in the China shop that delegitimizes George Weah and lowers his stock in the face of international community is the lack of any plan to tackle corruption.
Well, let me stop you.
Because let me stop you. Hold on. You come in. I said 5 minutes. I'll take 2. I'll give you 3.
Go ahead.
Because George Weah has neglected, and all these people that he has around him, every one of them have questions, marks about corruption. $25 million, Samuel Tulay, no report, nothing substantive or factual that came from him from the expenditure of $25 million. Go to the whole group, the cabal, from George Weah to the rest of them. We're talking about 16 billion Liberian that are printed. People went to jail and all kinds of things. The whole thing was a lot of craziness, confusion. And at the end of the day, nothing came out of anything. That too hangs in the air. And just the perception, not even just the reality, but even the perception of corruption. Until you can show the international community that you are ready to work, that you are ready to hold people accountable, like the Zambian president, the newly elected Zambian president, like Magufuli from Tanzania. They're not perfect, but until you can show the international community that, yes, this new Africa we are talking about, there are people who are rising up as leaders and are serious to tackle corruption like Paul Kagame, they will ignore you.
Okay, listen to this. And I like your talking points, and I'm glad that you are reading from your screen. People are sending in things, so I don't need to do that. First of all, if you talk about Washington insider, I will consider myself as an insider because I work and I know people who actually are decision makers now. When we're talking about Mr. Claiborne, that you were talking about, somebody, the picture you are talking about with me and Claiborne, when we talk about sidebars, okay? Now we are talking about you see, when you guys talk about when you have nothing to say, President George Weah character is impeccable.
Oh,
and we know this. You are talking about 16 billion, and President Weah embarrassed you when he went directly to the international community and asked for an audit. And they came in and did an audit and they found out that all the acquisitions, everything that you were talking made no sense. You were talking about $25 million. Tulay made the report and told you that 18 million of that 25 million have been accounted for. All of the reports are there, and you know you are eating.
Then what happened to the rest? That was 25 million. Where's the rest?
Let me close on this. Because you don't know this.
25 million, you said 18 million was accounted for. Where is the rest? I asked you your question. You're not going to address that issue. You always get
the ambassador of the United States. I don't know. You don't know about. Maybe you didn't see it when he went for his confirmation. They asked him.
Diplomacy, bro.
Excuse me. Anybody can say what you are saying.
I'm going to meet a man, but I will talk Bible.
He said one of the problems in Liberia that Liberians have is a perceptional issue, but not reality. He says, my job is I'm going to Liberia to address the perception. And he said it categorically. He said, we are funders of the Liberian government. We have our agent in every department to which we send money. We are getting reports in real time. So I am going to fight where he says the perception of corruption.
Mr. Gayman, I find this statement.
You don't have time to just come out and say 16 billion
Gayman,
million, when there's nothing factual about it. You can say
Mr.
a million
Gayman,
times, it
I
is not going to
find
be
you.
factual. You can
Listen,
say that a million times, it won't be true. Now,
yeah.
let's go.
No. You will not do this. Listen, Mr.
No, but
Gayman.
you got no fact. Can you
I
debunk
find your comment
what
regarding corruption in Liberia not only to be hypocritical, but to be reprehensible. I'm telling you today, I find your comment regarding corruption in Liberia under George Weah or under Madam Salif not only to be hypocritical, but to be reprehensible.
I am not here defending Madam Salif.
Listen. Okay, if we get a call, we'll take the call now. We'll take the call. But while the call is coming, I will enumerate why am I saying that I find your comment.
Let's go.
All right, I find your comment to be utterly reprehensible. It shows something that you know what? I'll tell you now. You know what? I put you in the same position that I put your relative in who helped to foment and plan war. You know why? Because it shows to me that you have no care or concern.
Gentlemen, we have calls.
All right. Everyday suffering Liberian people. Go ahead. Put the call through.
All right. Caller with phone number ending in 9016. You are live. Go for it.
Caller, your name, where you calling from?
Hello, Mr. Gayman. Caller, are you there? Caller, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Mr. Jerome. It's me talking to. I know you have so many questions.
All right, yeah, your name and where you're calling off from, and go ahead, please.
I'm Reverend Abednego. I'm calling from North Dakota, to be specific, in Cranford, USA.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'm actually my first time on the show, and very expedient I contribute because I listened to your caller, no, not the caller, I'm sorry, your host, the guy you hosting with Tulay, as the mentioned in right. A lot of misinformation we given to Liberian people that read it, activating most of us, and we want to contribute. First of all, thank you very much, Jerome, and God bless you for the valid information you're giving us. The problem is, if I hear whether you're opposition or in opposition, if I hear you, not wanting the development and growth of our country, it kind of pushes me because the question that comes to my mind, whether you are a typical Liberian. Now, it's just like you are father, you have a children home. Every parent want the children to be a better children for the future. Yes, in case sometimes you have some bad one that will not want to go to school, and the school will be calling you, the parent, like for some other in America, yeah, they do that, and we'll have to go to the school to rectify somebody's mistakes and plead with them that, okay, we'll see what we can do to double the effort. Every Liberian should have a positive mentality, whether you are opposition or you are position, whether you make a point or not. You must have a positive mentality to thinking that you are a genuine Liberian. We don't want our country, Liberia, to be in a state like before until we come and die and nothing happens. No.
You got 30 seconds, sir, because we got other callers on the line.
Sitting on the public show.
Thank you.
And he's saying that even the delegate will not able to meet Joe Biden. What is he talking about? What continent he come from?
Thank you.
Is he all right for the favor of the government?
Thank you, caller. Thank you.
His brother and sister in that country.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Let me bring in the next caller, Tulay. Caller with phone number ending in 0194. I think the name is Chichi Mo. Go ahead.
Paxton Moore.
Okay, Mr. Mo, go ahead.
Yes. Okay, I'm Paxton Moore calling from Richmond, Virginia. Thank you, Mr. Gayman and Mr. Tulay. Thank you for inviting me on the show. Very interesting to kind of listen to interesting conversation that we have not known about before. First of all, I would like to contribute with just a few minutes on your show. One of the key things in our country that we're facing right now in Liberia is the level of mistrust with the government and the citizens. You can only have a secure nation throughout the world that any civilized nation will recognize if you have a security for the citizens and foreign investors or friends or tourists, okay, coming in to probably send a bill to or invest their dollar. That we don't have in Liberia. I don't think Liberians in the diaspora or in Liberia hit George Weah. He's only one person out of 5-point-something million people. But what we are seeing on a daily basis coming out of Liberia, especially coming out of the 13 years of bloody civil war, killing off each other, we kind of like seeing the same thing happening, but we also looking at the potential that is laying in wait for another one to happen. When you have a country that is not secure, you're having foreign investors being killed, you're having lawless crime, like what Mr. Tulay regularly stated. We cannot be talking about tourists going into Liberia when you have crimes on the rise. And it's not because of these guys that call themselves Zogos. They're coming out of war. They have not been de-traumatized. They've not been rehabilitated. And actually, like, I will just give you a quick example. I had a situation with my family members in Johnsonville where you have a group of lawless guys went to take our property, and they ran over the property. In fact, they trapped another guy here, or we went to the police, and the police saw us play blind, said, look, we cannot intervene in that. We have to go get Zogos, so-called Zogos. And one of the guys, he chopped his hand completely off. That case right now is living with the police, with the court system. I mean, everything is like falling apart when it comes to security. So just to be short, our country is not secure. We are heading to like a failed state, okay, versus other countries like Rwanda coming out of war, Sierra Leone. Most countries in Africa have civil war, but ours is very bad off right now simply because the rule of law is not there. It's breaking down very fast.
Thank you.
And those who love Liberia should come back on the table and talk about this, because without the rule of law, that's why we are calling for a war and economic crimes. If that cannot be implemented, we are heading for a failed state.
Thank you, Mr.
very
Moore.
much, my brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Let's bring in another caller, gentlemen. We have Pape Flomo. That is Augustus Flomo. Mr. Flomo, let's hear you.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. The previous guy talked about having war crimes court. And the thing is, we've been hearing this drumbeat of war crimes court, mostly from the opposition. We have not taken our time to even ask the Liberian people whether they want war crimes. Because these are the same people who voted for Charles Tilly, they voted for Ellen Johnson Tilly, who spent I think $10,000 of her own money, and she said, "Well, level the mansion, I'll build it back." These people elected Prince Johnson, they elected Brandon Sherman, they elected all the warlords. So how can you say the Liberian people want war crimes court? The only reason why we are hearing the drumbeat of this war crimes court is because the opposition wants to use it so as to come back to power. So until we hear from the Liberian people themselves about this war crimes court, we have a referendum where we can be crystal clear that the Liberian people themselves want war crimes court. I'm not going to even pay attention to the opposition as for war crimes court. Now, number two, another caller talked about Rwanda. We should follow the example of Rwanda. If George Weah wants to follow the example of Rwanda, in Rwanda, the opposition is non-existent. Do you know why Paul Kagame is making a lot of strides? Paul Kagame got rid of all his opposition. Their dead bodies are fall in lakes on the bridges. Some of them get missing. You don't see them because why? There's no protest in. You go to Rwanda, no protest because the opposition is almost non-existent. You don't try. And once there's opposition, people protest there every day. That would scare away with foreign investment. So in Rwanda, you don't see any protest because Paul Kagame has eliminated all his opposition. Just the same way Jerome Rawlings did in Ghana. He killed all his opposition. He killed 3 judges and some military people. And Jerome Rawlings had a free ride to develop the country. George Weah is not going to take the cue from Jerry Rollins and Paul Gayman, because if he does that, Joseph Walker, Benin, you Alex coming today, they won't be existing. And let me tell you something before I end. Mr. Tulay was very dishonest, and he used the word saying, against Mr. Gayman, saying reprehensible. Well, Mr. Tulay, I want to tell you that you are very dishonest, and your statement about the 25 million was reprehensible, and this is why. When Mr. Gayman told you that the 18 million of the 25 million has been accounted for, then you said, how about the rest? How about the rest? When you say,
okay, can you cut this man off, man? You're not making I want to come. We don't have time.
Thank you.
7 more minutes. We got 7 more minutes. It's okay.
And say
you can't do that.
No. You're not making sense. I won't respond. You expect somebody to say that a diatribe of nonsense.
God bless you.
Thank you, Pape Flomo. Gentlemen.
I'm coming in right now. Let me say something to you. We were very much aware of the 18 million report. The first thing is this, Anthony and everyone listen to us. $25 million infused into the Liberian market to buy back excess. That's the word. Excess liquidity. If any such, listen to me today. If any such exercise happened in Monrovia on a wide scale, you don't have to brag report. The Liberian people will see your activities, and they're the ones that will vouch for you. Henry Costa was on the ground. They went around, other journalists went around looking for the places, and I heard Tulay giving his own explanation of how the exercise was carried out. Nobody saw somebody using $18 million to go to money changers to buy excess liquidity from the Liberian market. I am saying to you categorically today that report was a lie. It was a fabrication made up by Tulay to try and save face, because everybody knew that he stole the money. Let me tell you something now before you come in. They went to the major money changers. We're talking about those in Liberia who have real cash. If you want to do anything about volume in terms of Liberian dollars in Liberia, those are the guys you go to. Costa then went to Costa and myself, we have our disagreement. Right now we're disagreeing.
Mr. Tulay.
I'm calling him in here. Hold on. Costa then went to all these people. Hold on now. Let me finish. No. You let me finish.
Go ahead. You got 1 minute.
Let me finish.
You got 1 minute.
Costa then went to all these people when that report came out to ask them, did you interact with the Liberian government? Did you take US dollar and give them Liberian dollars? No major money changer in Monrovia came up and put a hand up and say, yes, I received it. Here's a video of the transaction. We took 20,000 or 50,000 or 100,000 or 500,000 US dollar from the Liberian government, and we gave them Liberian dollar in return. No major, not one. So we all knew that report was a fabrication.
Mr. Tulay, thank you very much. And this is why you
Mr. Gayman, there's another caller, so be a little brief so we can bring the final caller in, okay?
Okay, this is the reason why you were losing credibility in your report.
With people,
anybody on this show who referred to Henry Costa as a journalist is fooling themselves. Let's go to the next caller.
All right, let me bring Josh. Go ahead.
Let me say good evening to the two panelists in studio, both George and Mr. Gayman, Mr. Tulay and Mr. Gayman. I just thought it wise to call in. My name is George Lobo to provide some clarity to a few things that I listened to earlier. So let's just go straight to the point. Mr. Gayman spoke on the issue of the $25 million Mr. Tulay talked about. So here's the facts on it. Go back to Mr. Gayman. I want you to read President Weah State of the Nation address in 2019 in January. President Weah said in that address that 17 million was used. When the Crow report came out in February that very same year, in the Crow report, it stated it was $15 million. So technically, the president lied to the Liberian people. Now let's get to the nitty-gritty of the 25 million. The GAC report has established that businesses that were used in the map of exercise never exist in Liberia.
So what are you justifying here for the Liberian people? Are you here to just deceive our folks? Now let's go to the core report. You talk about the missing $16 billion. What did the core report say? The core report said that because of the amount of inconsistency and discrepancy, there needs to be a further understanding. In accounting, if something is correct, if it's exact, you use words like exact is correct or accurate. When they say inconsistency and discrepancy, what does that mean? That means it's not correct. So just for this conversation, I think we all here owe it to our people, regardless of which side we are on. Let us be able to at least be honest when we discuss national issues. On the issue of lobbying, again, you just spoke. That you were asked to list for us what are some of the returns on all that have been invested in lobbying. You yet can tell us. Yeah, people can take pictures. President, we have taken enough pictures when you're playing. President, we have taken pictures when you came to power. What have been the tangible results from all the lobbying funds we are paying? You boasted of 6. If you boasted of 6 lobbying funds, and what is the return on our investment? I want you to understand, Mr. Gayman, the MCC, you don't come to lobby for it. There are requirements, there are sort of benchmarks every country must meet. Liberia did not qualify from 2006 until 2015. That is when we qualified. We secured $257 million. Go back to Liberia, meet those necessary benchmarks, and you qualify the country. So it's like, what I will close on this note. What the guys are doing in DC is like a student who is failing miserably in the school, but he's in the Catholic school and his parents are in the Catholic church. So he takes his father and his mother, they go to the church and take picture with the priest, and then he posts it and think that he's going to get a passing mark. That is what it's
excuse me.
Thank you very much for the time. I'm grateful.
Okay. Thank you. Let me address who was that caller? I don't know who he is.
That's George Lobo.
Who is George Lobo?
The only George person that president we are all the other George.
Who is George Lobo?
Go ahead, talk. Answer the man.
I don't know who he is. I don't know what his criteria are. I don't know what his qualifications are. But I run major.
That was not necessary.
Listen to this. I run major corporations. Where I have gone through federal audit. I have gone through county audit. I have gone through state audit. I have gone through city audit, and I have gone through internal audit. When they say consistency. Inconsistency in audit report does not mean there's something illegal about what you have done. Inconsistency could be that you wrote your name wrong and signed wrong. That inconsistency. Your dates, if your date conflicts, that inconsistency. If your name does not appear on every piece of paper that we call running through, that inconsistency. So that broad base of
you also said discrepancies.
Excuse me.
He said discrepancies too.
That causes discrepancy. Discrepancy is broad. Okay, if you do audit, you have done audit. It is broad. Anybody can use that. So George Nobles knows exactly if he's an administrator, if he's an auditor, he will have known that. So he's been very deceptive. Now we don't have time. Let me give you. We got 6 minutes here. Let me give you 3 minutes for your closing. Incorporate everything that we have talked about. Go ahead and close. Then I will go ahead and close, and we can go on from there.
Gentlemen, before you close, management said we should take a little short break. I'll read a few comments, and then you can give your closing statement.
Exactly. Go ahead.
Thank you for being very generous this time. Go ahead.
All right.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
All right. Gentlemen, go ahead and read your comments.
All right, I will read this because I know she's been on my back. I love it. Miss Cecilia Coffee Brown. Larry Kennedy, Liberia and America share a historic relationship. This is not far-fetched, granted, that most countries, including the US, are all recovering from COVID-19. We must always want the best for our country, irrespective of our political differences. We shouldn't discount ourselves at every given opportunity. This is why I don't watch these talk shows. You can't get what you want for our people if government officials sit behind their desk. We must get out there and make our case. To whom?
Excellent, excellent.
All right, Melvin DeShield, the country is cursed. This country is cursed. Decisions made on behalf of Liberian people are injustice. The people are living in mental slavery and their rights are subject to their leaders. Helena Flomo, I will research this account. This man is speaking like his name was on the Ghost, I don't know what that means, list that is covered in Liberian government. Wow. I'm out. Good luck, George Kanneh Tulay, addressing non-stop information from your co-host. That is from Larry Kennedy. Trocon Smith, Gayman, you are shameless. Let me tell you, we are Tulay, and the rest worked in Ellen government as well. It's true. But tell Ellen Salif UP government was corrupt. He said no government in Liberia corrupt, just the perception of corruption based on the U.S. ambassador. I agree with them, but your premise is very wrong. All right. Caesar, you speak as though you are not a Liberian. You say, George, we can't be Joe Biden. With God, there is no respect of persons. For God, for good things to happen to Liberia, each of us just wants the best. So without lobbying, do you think the investors will be encouraged to invest in Liberia? We are all lobbyists for our own country. We are our own problems. She was making that comment to me. Edward Doe, Jerome Gayman, what is the role of the sitting mayor and the presidential affairs on the delegation when the Minister of Foreign Affairs is not on the delegation?
Let me answer that real quick before you go to the next one. And Edward Doe, thank you very much. I used part of your report you sent me. When a government is a team, like a soccer team, the referee or the coach can decide who plays first half, who plays second half, and we make changes. I'm giving you this soccer analogy. The last time they were here, you saw other ministers, you didn't see the information minister. You saw the gender minister, you didn't see the first lady. This team came around, you saw the information minister, you didn't see other. The next delegation, you may see more women, you may see the youth, you may see this. So that means these people are working. It's a team. They have a team. There is no particular starting 5 or starting 11 that goes every time. They have a team, my friend.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Hold on, because we're all the time. Why is Tulay and Maggie and Jefferson Koji always wearing lousy Versace? I don't know.
Don't go into. No,
I always go there.
Don't talk about the dress because look. I could say why you dress the way you dress. It's not dress. It's what's in the dress.
No, but Jefferson Koji is not in the dress.
Okay. Now let me tell you this.
What has he done?
Let me tell you this.
On the street.
Let me tell you this. The city mayor of the largest city, okay, that has the second. Excuse me. You ask the question, get answer. Jefferson Koji, the city mayor of Monrovia, has to be the right to be on all of these delegations to see, to learn. These are the next generations of leaders that Liberia is grooming. These are the next generations of Liberian leaders, whether you like him or not. You talk about the secretary, the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, the Secretary of State for Presidential Affairs, basically is the mouthpiece of the president. He is the gatekeeper. He is the personal assistant to the president. The man runs the same agenda as the president. So yes, he has to be on that.
Okay,
it's a constitutional duty. Read the Constitution and look at the job description of the presidential.
Mr. Gayman.
Now you're talking about who else you're talking about on that.
Mr. Gayman, let me respond to you.
Minister, you asking why?
Let me respond to you now. Let me respond to you now.
Are you really serious?
I am very serious. Let me respond to you now. The chief negotiator in any government, especially when it comes to non-specifics, just representing the interests of your government, the chief negotiator and chief voice is not the Minister of State and Presidential Affairs.
Excuse me.
The minister is the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Excuse me, that's not true.
The chief negotiator.
Mr. Tulay, you are talking on the top of your head. Look at the job. The next time I want you to bring the job description, the constitutional job description of the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs and the Foreign Minister.
Chief of Staff of the President.
Let's leave them because they have constitutional description.
No. We're not leaving them because guess what? You like to misinform our
I'm talking about constitution here. I'm not talking from the top of my head like you.
Yeah, man, I'm not talking about the top of my head either.
Job description.
There is no. Listen, I said something here, and I stand to.
Let's go to the constitution.
Hold on now.
Let's go to the constitution.
Hold on, please. Let me say this again. I said to you this. We got to close. The chief envoy of the Liberian government. It's not the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs.
George Tulay.
No. I'm talking now. We can't be doing this.
Let's leave this. Let's bring
No. We're not leaving it. We're not leaving it. This is where I want to go.
I don't want to talk to you on that. I want you to talk on the Constitution.
No.
Let's read it out of the Constitution.
Excuse me.
You are accustomed to talking from the top of your head. Let's bring the Constitution. I want to bring that. Let's read this.
You just let me talk. When you finish,
I don't want you to talk because you talk off the top of your head.
I am
not. You don't. Mr. Tulay, please do your closing statement.
And I have the right to go wherever I want to go. My closing statement. So if
you got 5 minutes. Use the 5 minutes as you choose.
If you would choose to interrupt me in my closing statement, then I rather keep quiet for you to talk.
We got 5 minutes each. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. That if you would interrupt me in my closing statement and say what I can say,
nobody
then I'd rather just keep quiet for you to talk. Okay. Since you were giving me a chance to talk, I will talk. The chief representative when it comes to diplomacy of any government is not the Minister of Information, it's not the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, who is normally maybe sometimes the chief of staff of the president. The chief representative of any government for time immemorial to today is the Minister of Foreign Affairs. When it comes to lobbying, representing the interests of a government, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, even if he will sit back, he must be part of any such trip. 2 forays have happened in recent memory with Koji McGill and Tulay going to America. 2 different occasions now without the Minister of Foreign Affairs being on the trip. You know the reason why? Because these are the men that have hijacked Wiya's presidency. They are the shot callers. They determine what happens in our government, no one else. I told you last time how they've even managed to marginalize Akara's grade to a great extent in Mobile Molu too. So 2 of them, these guys, the 3, are the mean people. They are the hand of the president, if you ask me. So the entire thing about lobbying, I said in my entire discussion today that it's a useless undertaking. The reason why I'm saying this is this. Rwanda tourism board is paying a lobbying firm out there, and Rwanda is doing her homework to present a positive picture, irrespective of the political issues going on in the country. The Rwandan people, they're not complaining. I agree. I will be the first to say I question some of Kagame's actions in terms of democracy. But when it comes to deliverables, advancing the interests of his people and adding value to their lives, he's unequal on the continent of Africa. Now, when it comes to Liberia, That's what you people have not done. Our educational system. Even if you say people go to university, they shouldn't pay. What has been the investment in the university or your educational system? Our schools don't have libraries. In the 21st century, our schools don't have libraries. Our schools don't have laboratories. In the 21st century, no public school in Liberia has a computer lab where students can go and study modern days, even just Java or even Python programming at their level. Nothing. There's no STEM. We are not addressing future needs by today's actions. So we sit when some of us criticize, we're not criticizing because we hate George Weah. We are criticizing because we said to the Liberian people that the man was senator. He never proposed any bill. He never met with his constituency. In Montserrat County, he went to nobody in Montserrat County to say thank you for even electing me. After he was elected, he just stayed and did what he wanted to do. And we said he was inept. They shouldn't have elected him as president, and that he was not going to deliver. And we are seeing today, capital projects, you can go and take a loan to build a road or to build markets or to do stuff. But the main thing that will move the needle for the Liberian people is investment in the lives of the people through economic policies. Like I said, they have been in power for all this time. They have not invested in small and medium scale enterprises. How do you do that? Crafting policies, working with the banks, providing incentives for people to go into business with monetary evaluation, helping to build a middle class in Liberia by investing in Liberian market of business people. Zero. Agriculture, zero. Healthcare, rudimentary, stomach running medicine and headache tablet and typhoid. That's all. If you have a heart crisis, you are dead. If you have a diabetes crisis, you are dead. If you have a urological crisis, you are dead. So what are we talking about? And these things are not unfixable. And these things, you don't need foreigners to come and fix them for you. You start by being honest, looking at assessing your playing field, looking at where you are, inviting the right local or international diaspora, Liberian or how you call it, resources to come and help you with sincerity. Let me tell you something, Mr. Gayman. When George Weah start being sincere, he can say every year I will host a round table of all Liberian professionals. Y'all come, let's sit down, we talk. Every year, maybe for 2 weeks during the summer months, people can take vacation, go to Liberia, and do stuff. Look, I have a cousin working with IBM. You can call him. He can come and help to establish things. The Liberians, we got people out there. We got people out there who are highly placed, and they know what can be done. But the sincerity is lacking. Hiring PR firms to lobby and to do this for what? It's not working. So all we need to do, bro, to be honest, is to be honest with ourselves. The president needs to sell himself first to the Liberian people before attempting to sell himself to the international community. I rest. Your microphone is off.
Press the message now or stay on the line. Press the pound key to place the
thank you for the 8 minutes of tirade. First of all, the reason I sometimes don't like to debate with people from the opposition is that they do not have any personal experience, managerial experience, and decision making.
You see.
Now listen to this. I have worked as president of the local, on the Treasure Coast, the local Chamber of Commerce. I have sat in Washington, D.C., and have negotiated for corporations to come to Florida, St. Lucie County in particular. And I'm going to go over the 5 things that all corporations ask me and our delegation when we go lobby to bring corporations to Florida. The first thing they ask for is road. 1, road. Number 2, power. Number 3, the school district. Number 4, public utilities. In that order. Now let's look at what President Weah is doing. If you are talking about development, the first thing on that list, and it's internationally universal, road. Without road, you cannot go from point A to point B. In 1956, Dwight Eisenhower introduced the Highway Act in this country. He said if you can leave California and go to New York where your produce, the economy is going to be second to none. And he was right. President Weah is right. If you can take your rice, your cassava from Benjamin to Buchanan and pick up fish, crawfish, and your seafood and take it back within the same day, the economic boom along the way, gas, hotel, food, is immense. So George Weah, President Weah, is on task. We're talking about power. The president is working with power. We don't have to go there. There's schools. You see renovation of schools everywhere in the country. It's not going to happen overnight. These are dilapidated schools that have been abandoned for 200 years. We are talking about the workforce. The president is sending doctors, students abroad for advanced study. Liberia, for the first time, going to have specialists in the medical field. We talk about public utilities. You've seen it all over the place. You talk about Paul Kagame. Paul Kagame has been in power for 30 years. Prior to that, he was vice president. He was army chief. He's a dictator. There's no democracy in Rwanda. If you give President Weah absolute power, we will do more, better than what he's doing. So don't talk about Paul Kagame. Don't talk about Paul Kagame. Don't talk about Paul Kagame. When you talk about lobbying, every country in the world has lobbyists in Washington, D.C., and President Weah is coming late. And I applaud him. We need more lobbyists for every industry, and the tourism industry in particular. And I, as a Floridian and who lives here, I will do all I can to bring all the power that be to me.
You're losing your voice.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll see you next Sunday, same time, same place. No, thank you. As usual.
Liberian is our home. Liberian people.